His dedication, drive, and classic good looks have made him the hottest young actor of his generation. Tom Cruise on this episode of Superstars of Action.
Tom Cruise insists on constantly pushing himself in diverse and challenging roles. Cruise has refused to allow Hollywood to typecast him as a mere heartthrob and has worked tenaciously to prove himself as a respected leading man.
Started up on his 6 when he pulled through the clouds. It's not a matter of just showing up and doing your lines. Mentally, you got to be there after 14 hours, the same way you were at 7 in the morning, 6 days a week, you know, 100 days of shooting or whatever it's going to take.
So you're the one.
Yes, ma'am. But then there's a sense of, it's done. This wonderful journey.
Tom Cruise has approached his acting career with a careful, deliberate strategy. He works hard to ensure that each role takes him into new creative territory as an actor.
One afternoon, I was sent to my room, and I remember looking out upon the neighborhood, and the other kids were playing and running along, and I thought, I don't know why it comes back to me, but I just remember at that specific moment, I said, I want to be an actor. I did some things, you know, this is the 60s, and I did some creative drama and, you know, experimental theater for a time, and my mother taught theater for a few years. I did not apply to college. You know, we just didn't have a lot of money. I was going to travel and just take some time and see what I wanted to do with my life. And I said, you know, I want to be an actor.
Hollywood Reporter columnist Robert Osborne.
It's wonderful to have a Tom Cruise around. He's wonderful looking, and he's a great image to have as a hero. We need people like Tom Cruise in every era to play those kind of idealistic young men of the time.
When he attracted attention as a no-nonsense military cadet in Taps, opposite Timothy Hutton and veteran actor George C. Scott.
I started out in a smaller role, and about 2 weeks through rehearsal is incredible for me because I had a month of rehearsal, and I really started to learn about what film was. I mean, just all the technical stuff, and all of a sudden started to see how other actors worked, and then they offered me this bigger role, and I couldn't believe it. It meant so much to me. I wanted to be an actor. I knew this is a great opportunity. I couldn't sleep at night thinking, God, I don't want to blow this. There's so much to know and to learn. How am I going to assimilate all of this? And so that was a real turning point for me.
Cruise worked with director Francis Ford Coppola in the 1983 drama The Outsiders, alongside an impressive ensemble of up-and-coming actors that included Rob Lowe, Patrick Swayze, and Matt Dillon. Producer Gray Fredrickson.
When we were doing The Outsiders, Tom Cruise, I said, that's the guy that's going to be the big star. Because Tom Cruise, all the guys they were rowdy. It was wild. Rob Lowe and Leif Garrett and all of them were partying every night and coming in hungover the next day, and they had girls sitting in the halls waiting for them. Tom Cruise did. Tom Cruise was up every morning jogging. He was working. He was serious. He was dedicated, and just driven to be successful. He was the most serious actor of the whole group, very disciplined in his craft, and yet has a wonderful appeal and charm, and I felt then that he was going to really be successful.
Cruise played his first leading role in Risky Business as a teenager who turns his home into a brothel while his parents are on vacation. Risky Business was the sleeper hit of the year and established Tom Cruise as a star.
Is this your car?
Maybe.
Nancy Griffin is the West Coast editor of Premiere Magazine.
I think Tom Cruise represents the boy next door, only better. the kind of guy that you'd love to take home to your mother and you know your mother would love. Very much the kind of all-American hero.
Look, will you do me a favor?
You want me to do you a favor?
I just need a lift.
Look, I want my egg back.
Get out of the car!
Joel, better get moving.
Come on, get out of the car!
I want my egg back.
You got it, all right? Let's just start driving.
When?
Now.
Open the door.
Let's go.
Lana, when do I get him back?
Start driving.
Open the door.
Start
You can open the door. Hey, Buster!
Right? Oh, but
Get out
just
the
start.
car.
Just
Open
start
the door.
driving. Start driving now.
Why don't you start the car, Joel?
Dave, I'm not gonna hurt you. Stop. Don't get out of here!
Oh, start the goddamn car, Joel!
Open it.
Where you going? Lana! Get out of the car! I'll kill you!
Next, Cruise played a star high school athlete with big dreams for the future in the movie All the Right Moves. Cruise traveled to England for the epic fantasy Legend, directed by Ridley Scott.
Tom is right there. He's indestructible. You'll do anything to get it right. So whatever hour, you know, it doesn't matter. We'll do it again if we're gonna do it to get it right. And whereas some don't, some wither and wobble and go, I'm tired. Tom is right there all the time. Incredible.
If it is needed, I will be there, and I will do whatever it takes to help.
I have a brother in this business called Tony Scott, and ironically, I was doing Legend, and Tony was about to do a film next called Top Gun.
I just seen Risky Business, and I thought Tom was brilliant because he's got a sweetness, a charm, and naivety and innocence, but there's also an edge to him. And I thought that was a great quality for this character in Top Gun.
Top Gun was a box office sensation, and Tom Cruise became a bankable name on movie marquees around the world.
Excuse me, Lieutenant. Is there something wrong?
Yes, ma'am. The data on the MiG is inaccurate.
How's that, Lieutenant?
Well, I just happened to see a MiG-28 Sorry, Goose. We happened to see a MiG-28 do a 4G negative dive.
Where did you see this?
That's classified.
It's what?
It's classified. I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you.
Lieutenant.
Tom does an enormous amount of homework when he comes to the set. He does an enormous amount of homework just physically, getting himself in shape for the movie, so he becomes dedicated. You know, I've never seen anybody so dedicated as Tom Cruise when he comes to work. And every day he does homework for that day. So you find every day he's coming with something extra that he wants to give to the scene. It might be changing the words, it might be the tone of the scene.
What were you doing there?
Communicating. Communicating. Keeping up foreign relations. I was, giving him the bird.
Tone is a very important ingredient, and he's always come with great ideas in terms of tone and words.
Well, Top Gun was, of course, the breakthrough. Top Gun came along at exactly the right time for him. It was a very hot picture. It's the one that made everybody focus on him.
In 1986, Cruise reached another traditional milestone when he was awarded a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Making the movie is the most satisfying process for me. Working with the other actors and the director on this set, and when you have a great scene, I mean, the one thing that is frustrating about making movies is that if you get a great scene to play, you only get to do it a couple of times. And so sometimes I would even say, I know we got it, but just let me go again, just for me. Just let me say these lines again with these actors and play.
Cruise had bagged millions of fans with Top Gun, and now he set his sights on earning critical respect as a serious actor. Cruise wanted to be seen as more than a heartthrob and decided to take on more challenging roles, even if it meant second billing. Cruise fought for the sought-after role of a small-time pool shark in the 1987 film The Color of Money. In The Color of Money, Cruise shared the screen with superstar Paul Newman.
I remember feeling so nervous going in to work with Paul Newman and work with Marty. I did learn a lot. He was so encouraging and supportive of my talent.
You smell what I smell? Smoke?
Money.
He guided me, but he really gave me confidence in playing Vincent and really, you know, urged me on and helped me through some, you know, that performance.
Director Martin Scorsese.
I saw Tom in All the Right Moves, picture Michael Chapman directed, and I liked him in that. And then I met Tom in L.A. in 1983. We shared a pizza one afternoon with some mutual friends, and he seemed to be a very genuine kid. He seemed to have the kind of ingenuousness and innocence that this character, Vincent Lauria, needed. And so I thought it was a good idea. And I knew he had the range, for some reason. In seeing All the Right Moves, I knew he had the range for the acting.
You want me to play him? You bet. And you are gonna dump. You are gonna lose something fierce. You're gonna ask for a spot, you're gonna ask for the break, everything. It's gonna be humiliating. This is beautiful. What do you mean, dump? What do I mean, dump?
Because if you lose bad now to this guy, you'll be a super nobody in Atlantic City, and the odds on you will drop to nothing, right?
See? She learns.
Let me ask you something. I mean, I see these guys, they hustle and they win. How come I always gotta play the jerk? I mean, why can't we have a hustle where I win?
In 1988, Cruise appeared in the Oscar-winning drama Rain Man. Ron Bass wrote Rain Man.
I've always been a big fan of Tom Cruise's. He was someone who I saw immediately in the role perfectly. He's skilled at doing a lot of things, but particularly accomplished at the guy with all the rough edges, with the humanity underneath that he hasn't recognized yet, and slowly and wonderfully bringing that humanity to the fore so that by the end of the show, he's the greatest guy you've ever met. He does that as well as anybody's ever done it. So he was brilliant casting.
I'd met Dustin early and he wanted me to play Charlie with him. And you know, you have this feeling, I just felt like we were brothers. I mean, he could have come in and said, no, look, you know, I want it this way, or it's gonna be, you know, but he understands filmmaking and the structure of that and how this picture is gonna work, and he knew that if I'm no good in this movie, it's not gonna work, and he was really rooting for me.
Lee Rich was the head of MGM Studios during the development of Rain Man.
We hope that a great performance with a great script, great actors, will give you a smash hit, and it did. Tom should have won an Academy Award. Tom Cruise was brilliant in that movie, just brilliant.
He was like the only person who wasn't nominated. And when the awards were over and I walked off stage with my statue, the first guy to run up to me and lift me off the ground with a bear hug was Tom Cruise.
Next came Cruise's most challenging role to date.
I just finished Rain Man, and then I went right into Born the 4th of July. And I remember we were in the Philippines at that stage when I finished. We're down on the ground, and I'm just saying, what, you know, basically, what are we doing with our life? I used to have a home. I used to have a country base. What are we going to do? What am I going to do? You know, what is it? And I got to that point, and it was the last shot of the movie. Willem Dafoe had to go to Czechoslovakia. The sun was going down. We were in the dunes in the Philippines, and I just didn't have it. I just thought, I just don't. No, I'm spent. You know, it was just like it was so intense. And the next day I was sitting out in the dune in the ocean, and Oliver came by, and I was taking off, and so was he. He gave me a hug. I hugged him, and I thanked him for the opportunity and for the role. And I just said, you know, I don't know how it's going to turn out, Oliver. And I said, but I don't know how I'm going to be, but I gave you everything I could. I don't have anything left. And I was so exhausted, I ended up in a Paris hospital.
It has to start with the idea that we should take care of this planet.
Cruise is known for his work on behalf of the environment. In 1990, Cruise took part in the National Earth Day ceremonies in Washington, D.C.
Make no mistake, this is a fight.
Cruise joined forces with esteemed screenwriter Robert Towne and Top Gun director Tony Scott to create the story for Days of Thunder, a film in the tradition of Le Mans and Grand Prix. Cruise stars as a cocky driver bent on victory at any cost. Cruise performed much of his own stunt driving in Days of Thunder.
I'm right behind the leader. 5 laps to go.
Screenwriter Robert Towne.
One word comes to mind with Tom. When I think of Tom, I think of daredevil. That man is the most physically daring person I've ever known. I mean, I can't believe he does the things that he does. He absolutely feels that he can do anything.
Tom is obsessed with doing his own stunts, yeah. And on Days of Thunder, and I mean, he had many close shaves where he said, I can do the drive, I can do that, let me drive, let me drive, let me drive. And he's always behind the wheel of the car. We had to say, Tom, you can't drive. You know, because he's got this, I wouldn't say a death wish, but he loves doing dangerous things.
Cruise was traveling at close to 200 miles an hour on this track, in this car, and he almost set the track record.
Remember me? What in the hell is going on? Just a little rubbing, Harry.
Tom's magic stems from that absolute sense that he can do anything. He's a deceptively good actor.
Cole, did you have any idea you could run the car line up into that last turn and make it stick like that?
I do it all along.
How's that?
Well, on that last stop, when I came in, Harry put on special tires.
Special tires? Harry Hogg, what's special about them?
Well, nothing in particular, you know.
Looks like Harry Hogg has a little explaining to do.
You told me.
Well, I lied. I had to tell you something to calm you down. He was acting like such a candy. After the air gun stuck, I figured you'd never get back on a racetrack. You son of a bitch.
The performance has to be there. You know, a director cannot create a performance. The performance, the ability has to be there. But you need someone who's going to pace and choose those moments so he can make you look terrible, or he can make you look great.
Cruise met actress Nicole Kidman, and they were soon married. In 1992, Cruise and Kidman co-starred in director Ron Howard's epic historical adventure, Far and Away.
Our communication is so good, so you really have two people that don't need to use words to understand each other. I suppose anybody who's married or has a close relationship with somebody must experience that, where you can look at somebody and you can tell in your eye what they're thinking. And so for us, it was wonderful working together. And the reason I wanted to work with him was because he's such a wonderful actor.
For me, it's not a matter of I want to be great in the scene. I want the scene to be great. I want the scene to work. As an actor, I take great pride in the scene that works.
Cruise's next starring vehicle was the explosive military courtroom drama, A Few Good Men. Producer, David Brown.
Tom Cruise is a very serious actor, extremely serious, extremely diligent. I recall that he occasionally took tapes of the dailies home with him to study them. And he was all, studious is the word for Tom Cruise. There was no movie star stuff going on there.
Cruise drew sparks working opposite Hollywood legend Jack Nicholson.
The chemistry between Tom Cruise and this looming figure of Jack Nicholson, this great figure, was terrific because at no time did Tom Cruise allow himself to be submerged. I mean, Tom Cruise stood up to Jack Nicholson. That was the beauty of that particular scene. And when Tom Cruise said, I'm an officer, I'm a lawyer and an officer of the United States Navy, and you're under arrest, you son of a bitch, the audience screamed.
The film was an enormous hit, earning 9 Oscar nominations and millions at the box office. The Firm, based on the best-selling novel by John Grisham, was one of the biggest hits of 1993.
I've always wanted to work with Sidney Pollack. You know, like everyone, I admired his films, and very early on, he had a meeting with me, and he just was generous enough to sit down, a young actor starting out, because he was interested in working with me, and the story interested him, and me playing this character interested him. And then he called Bob Towne and David Rayfield, and they started working away on the script.
Tom's faith in Sidney was such that if Sidney said, okay, we don't have a complete script, but I think we've got enough of a script to go forward, I think Tom's position was that if Sidney felt that way, Tom was going to put his faith in Sidney.
I had an incredible time working with Sidney Pollack because, first of all, I have a great admiration for him, and I respect the level that he wants from himself artistically, as a filmmaker, the scenes, from the actors. He really wants everybody in the picture to be great, and he wants to give everybody their moment.
I think that Tom's performance in The Firm is the most underrated work he's ever done. If you look at that movie, there are so many moments in which that man's performance holds the movie together. It's just astonishing.
I've really tried, as the years have passed, tried to, you know, take the edge off, you know, because every scene, everything, trying to, you know, working it and finding those moments. And, you know, as an actor, you can't push things. The more you push, the worse it gets. You know, I mean, that is a truism, less is more.
Cruise's dedication and sincerity have gained him the respect of his fellow artists and the admiration of fans around the world.
One of the things that I feel grateful about is that these great artists gave me the opportunity and encouraged me to do the best I could and acknowledged my work and recognized what I was trying to do. I love movies and I love acting, and that's, you know, that's what's important.
Tom Cruise is one of a rare group of movie stars who literally came of age on screen. Cruise has worked hard to maintain his position as one of the most prominent stars in a new generation of film heroes. Tom Cruise remains dedicated to giving his audiences nothing less than his very best. Until next time, see you at the movies.